When the crown prince was living in exile among the common people, I saved his life. To repay the favor, he was forced to issue an imperial edict, bestowing the rightful crown princess upon another. After I entered the palace, his favor toward me never waned, and he did not hesitate to alienate the Empress Dowager for my sake. Yet as I lay dying, he remained silent for a long while. At last, I have repaid the debt of saving my life back then. If there is a next life, I would rather you had not saved me. Then, RWN would still be my crown princess, so he did regret it. I died with resentment in my heart when I opened my eyes again, but it returned to that day when I returned to the palace with Zhao Heng. This time, when the man asked me what reward I wanted, I lowered my gaze and replied softly, I dare not wish for too much. If your highness wishes to give, then grant me 100 taels of gold so that I may marry. 01 As the words fell, the grand hall fell into dead silence. Moments later, a noble lady could not help but laugh out loud. Her eyes were full of disdain as she looked at me. A village woman remains a village woman, even if the crown prince bestows a gift. Her mind is only on money and marriage. Zhao Heng suddenly looked up upon hearing this. His usually calm and unruffled dark eyes held a trace of surprise. Empress Wang, standing nearby, gently comforted me. Shun, there's no need to be afraid. Saving the crown prince is a great merit. Just tell us whatever you desire. For a moment, I felt a bit dazed. In my previous life, when I knelt in the main hall, Empress Wang had asked the same question. Back then, I didn't know that Zhao Heng had long been betrothed to a crown princess. I only blushed and said that during my time among the common people, I had already regarded Zhao Heng as my husband. A single short sentence led to half a lifetime of mistakes, so this time, I simply lowered my eyes with due respect, gently shaking my head. My tone remained calm. His Highness the Crown Prince is blessed with profound fortune and will surely turn misfortune into good luck. I, a humble commoner, truly dare not ask for anything more. Seeing that I was insistent, Empress Wang did not press further. In that case, I will grant you 1,000 taels of gold and the status of an official's kinswoman. She suddenly seemed a bit troubled. Gold and silver are easy enough, but as for taking a husband, I can only slowly search for someone I like in the future. This was originally just an excuse, not what I truly wanted. I obediently nodded and was about to leave the hall. Just after taking 2 steps, suddenly, a deep voice sounded, its tone impossible to read. Wait. My footsteps faltered, and my heart clenched tight. Zhao Heng looked at me from a distance. His gaze deep and obscure. After staring at me for a long while, he spoke with pointed implication. What Miss Shen truly wants, is it really just a marriage arrangement, rather than seeking something that does not belong to her by taking advantage of it? The color drained from my face in an instant, so it turned out he had also been reborn. I even suspected that I would cling to him just like in my past life. Seeing me silent, Zhao Heng's tone grew even colder. He issued an edict, leaving no room for doubt. I have a younger brother, the Prince of Yang. Though his nature is somewhat unruly, he is about your age. You too, get married next month. Each word fell like jade shattering on the ground. In the previous life, Zhao Heng had also issued an edict of arranged marriage, but that time, the one who suffered was his crown princess. Today, it was finally my turn. I was silent for a long time, knowing I could no longer change anything. All I could do was force a smile and bow all the way down. This humble woman thanks your highness for the betrothal. 02 After leaving the main hall, Empress Wang specially sent a maid to invite me to the side hall. She held my hand and spoke with a somewhat helpless tone. I am aware of what happened between you and the crown prince among the common people. Originally, I intended to find an opportunity later to make you a secondary consort, but now that the imperial decree has been issued, I can only ask you to endure this grievance. I stood quietly in place. The crown prince's secondary consort in everyone's eyes. I was never a noble lady. To become his concubine by relying on the favor of having saved Zhao Heng's life was already considered a great honor for me. That is why, in my previous life, after Zhao Heng insisted on making me his consort, the originally designated crown princess candidate Wan'er, unable to bear the humiliation, she cut off her hair with a sword right in front of Zhao Heng. Pale-faced and red-eyed, she left behind these words, I misjudged you and gave my love to the wrong person. Back then, Zhao Heng shielded me behind him, his expression was cold, and he said nothing. It wasn't until many years later, when he mistook someone else for me after drinking, he held me and apologized over and over again, his voice hoarse. "AWN, you didn't misjudge the person, nor did you give your affection in vain. It is I who have wronged you." Only then did it dawn on me, so he did have feelings for her after all. It was only out of gratitude for my kindness that she kept it hidden all these years. Snapping back from my thoughts, I smiled at Empress Wang's words. This commoner knows her humble status and dares not have any improper thoughts. To marry the Prince of Yang is already very good. The moment the words fell, the hall fell silent for a moment. I turned my head and saw a figure standing expressionless in the dim light and shadow outside the door. My heart couldn't help but shudder. I had no idea how long he had been listening. Zhao Heng's dark eyes swept over me. They paused for a moment, then calmly withdrew. He turned aside and gently took the hand of the woman behind him. "Mother, your son and the crown princess have come to pay our respects." I instinctively looked up and gazed at the woman. In this life, she had not experienced the humiliation of an arranged marriage. Standing beside Zhao Heng, they were plainly a young couple deeply in love. I averted my gaze, quietly excused myself, and withdrew, walking toward the outside of the hall. As I passed by Zhao Heng, neither of us paused, as if we had never known each other. 03 The Empress Wang granted me a residence in the capital while waiting for my wedding day. I often heard people talk about the Prince of Yang. They said he was incomparably handsome, even better looking than Zhao Heng. They said he was a playboy at heart, most skilled at pitchpot and archery. Someone else said, he has not married to this day because there is someone in his heart. After hearing this, I fell silent for a long time. In my previous life, when Zhao Heng married me while holding another in his heart, I had already endured enough. In this remarriage, I must not repeat the same mistakes. I lifted my hem and stepped onto the carriage. Ready to head to the palace, I begged Zhao Heng to call off this marriage. When I arrived outside the study, I heard a man's voice, extremely young, with a hint of vexation amidst her clear, gentle demeanor. "Royal brother, by what right do you arrange a marriage for me? You know full well I already have someone in my heart, and I will never marry another." My fingertips paused at the door, and I understood everything. The person in the room should be the Prince of Yang. Zhao Heng sighed, his tone quite helpless. It seemed he had no way of dealing with his younger brother either. "You've been searching for that woman for 3 years, yet you don't even know her name, and you only caught a fleeting glimpse of her face. If you keep failing to find her, are you going to remain a bachelor for life?" When mentioning me, Zhao Heng paused. It was hard to tell exactly what he felt. After all, she saved my life. If you marry her, it can be considered the royal family repaying that debt of gratitude. I suddenly found it quite amusing. In this life, I never once asked Zhao Heng to marry me, yet he not only insisted on bestowing the marriage but also forced others to repay his kindness for him. Sure enough, the very next moment I heard the Prince of Yang retort angrily, "Anyway, I absolutely refuse to marry her, brother Emperor. If you force me, I'll leave at once for the frontier and never come back." With these words, he flung his sleeves and strode toward the door. I immediately stepped aside, lowering my eyes. I dutifully hung my head, not daring to take a single look at this future husband. Fortunately, the Prince of Yang was in a fit of anger and had no time to mind me. Watching his retreating figure, I was just about to breathe a sigh of relief, but the study door suddenly swung open. Zhao Heng looked at me coldly. His gaze was complex and deep, as if trying to see right through me. After a long moment, he suddenly let out a soft chuckle. "What, is it because you know the Prince of Yang wants to break off the engagement? Can't wait to come over and keep him here, so you can continue clinging to power and influence." 04 Zhao Heng's words were really unpleasant to hear. In fact, after listening to their conversation just now, I already knew that Zhao Heng would never agree to call off this marriage. But now, for once, I actually wanted to argue for myself. "Your Highness misunderstands. I have never sought to climb the social ladder by attaching myself to a powerful family. The reason I came today is to call off the engagement." Upon hearing my words, Zhao Heng was momentarily stunned. Then, as if something had occurred to him, his tone grew even colder. You don't want to marry me. Could it be that you still covet the position of the crown princess? In truth, even in my previous life, I had never thought of becoming the crown princess. It was simply because I loved Zhao Heng, and he happened to be the crown prince, but it turned out that was how he saw me. I shook my head and spoke candidly. I just don't want to marry a man who doesn't love me, to waste my whole life, to fritter away my years in vain. I don't know which word offended Zhao Heng. He sneered, his voice dripping with sarcasm. If I said that the intention is to make you waste your entire life, what then? I looked at him in shock. Zhao Heng stood against the light. His expression was momentarily indistinguishable, but the coldness in his voice could be heard. Back then, because of you, a WN cut off her hair and entered a temple, living a life of solitude. You owe her a great deal, and you will pay it back, one by one. So that's how it is. The suffering that Wan'er endured, I must endure it as well. With that, Zhao Heng seemed to grow weary. He turned around, his tone leaving no room for doubt. It is absolutely impossible to break off the engagement, give up hope and stop entertaining such delusions. Zhao Heng turned and walked away. I rubbed my legs, which had long gone numb from kneeling, and let out a bitter laugh. Get up and slowly walk toward the outside of the hall. 05. The one guiding me was a very young palace maid. She looked at me with a hint of pity. Say to me softly, Miss Shen, actually Prince Yang is quite good. Not as bad as the crown prince makes him out to be. He won't cause you to waste your life away. It's just that he has someone he loves. I thought of the woman Prince Yang spoke of, the one he vowed to marry and no other. I was a bit curious, so I kept listening. 3 years ago, His Highness the Prince of Yang went to Jiangdong to provide disaster relief. He encountered assassins, fell off a cliff, and disappeared without a trace. He was rescued by a young woman who refused to give her name. After curing His Highness's eyes, she left immediately. At this point in the story, the little palace maid's tone carried a hint of regret. His Highness the Prince of Yang went looking for her many times afterward, but there was no news. What a pity. Those two should have gotten married. She suddenly covered her mouth. I remembered that I was the one about to marry the Prince of Yang. He seemed flustered and wanted to apologize to me, but I stood rooted to the spot, frozen in disbelief. 3 years ago, I passed by Jiangdong while practicing medicine beneath a cliff. I once happened to rescue a severely injured man. He had hurt his head when he fell off the cliff, and after I revived him, he went blind. Then he discovered that it was I who had changed his clothes and washed his body. He seemed disoriented for a long time. Blushing, she asked me as if she had finally made up her mind, Miss, what is your name? Once I return, I will take responsibility for you. I am a healer, and such things naturally do not concern me when saving a life. He remained silent and didn't answer. It so happened that the disaster in Jiangdong was severe at that time. As soon as his eyes healed, I left a few doses of medicine behind and hurriedly left. Could that man actually be the Prince of Yang? Lost in thought, I suddenly heard a clear and gentle male voice behind me. I heard from the Imperial Guards, "Are you the woman my royal brother has arranged for me to marry?" My entire body froze. Subconsciously lowering his head, he did not reply. In his line of sight, the black boots embroidered with cloud patterns passed by his side. Finally, they came to a stop right before his eyes. Look up, 06, as if a long time had passed, yet only a moment. Unable to bear the stalemate, I clenched the hem of my clothes and wanted to lift my head, but then I heard another man's deep, low voice, "Don't look up." My movements froze for some reason. Zhao Heng had suddenly appeared here. He looked down at the Prince of Yang, a hint of inexplicable coldness in his tone. "To find the one in your heart, you look at every woman you meet to judge her appearance. Isn't that absurd behavior already quite enough for you?" He paused, his gaze sweeping over me, who had kept my head lowered then, as if thinking of something. His tone softened a little. "Besides, I can assure you that the person you are looking for is not her." The Prince of Yang, who had always remained silent, suddenly asked persistently, "Why, does your royal brother know her very well?" This time, Zhao Heng did not answer. "Of course he knows me well. He saved my life twice. And on top of that, we were husband and wife for an entire lifetime. During our most loving days, he even remembered the dates of my monthly cycle. He would prepare brown sugar for me in advance and coax me into drinking it. But he could not speak of any of this now. In the end, only a distant, unfamiliar sentence remained. When the orphan was saved by her among the common people, she never mentioned this matter. How could a woman like her travel alone from Huayan to Jiangdong? You are overthinking it, he spoke with absolute certainty. The king of Yang wanted to ask further, but Zhao Heng was somewhat impatient. He waved his hand, signaling the guards to escort the king of Yang out of the palace. Since the two of you have been granted this marriage, you must follow the proper customs. From today until the wedding day, you are not to see each other again. After seeing the person off, only then did Zhao Heng turn back and gaze at me with a heavy look. The tone seemed somewhat displeased. Why didn't you refuse? I was stunned for a moment before I realized what he meant. He was asking why I hadn't refused the Prince of Yang's request to see my face. I had no choice but to answer honestly. He is an imperial prince, and I, a commoner, dare not refuse him. Besides, since His Highness wants him to be my husband, he would have to see my face sooner or later anyway. I had no idea which of these words had angered Zhao Heng. His expression turned cold, and his voice carried a chilling tone. What, you've fallen for the Prince of Yang after just one meeting? Don't blame me for not reminding you. He has someone in his heart, and he will never take a liking to you. Zhao Heng had said these words many times. He probably truly detests me to the bone. I smiled bitterly. After waiting for Zhao Heng to walk away, I turned and left the palace. 07, 1 month before the grand wedding, I prepared to go to a temple on the outskirts to pray for blessings. Just as I was about to board the carriage, my maidservant brought news. His Highness the Prince of Yang has fled. Prince Yang had a straightforward temperament and never wanted to settle for less. That day in the hall, he said outright that if Zhao Heng insisted on arranging the marriage, he would flee to the frontier. This was something I had expected. Yet, even so, I couldn't help but listen to the lady-in-waiting's account of the details. The Prince of Yang left a letter for the Crown Prince, saying he would never marry someone he did not love. He also said that since the Crown Prince wanted to repay a debt of gratitude, he should marry the person himself, and that made His Highness furious. I lowered my head and smiled. Then, maintaining my usual composure, I boarded the carriage and headed to the temple. After paying respects at the temple, someone led me to a room to rest. As soon as I entered, a hand covered my mouth from behind. He lowered his voice, his tone threatening. Don't speak. If anyone asks later, just say you've never seen. This voice is very familiar. I instinctively turned my head to look. I saw the young man's face, which was extremely handsome. Of course, he also saw my face. The person who had been speaking coldly suddenly widened their eyes. A flush slowly crept up behind their ears as they stared at me in disbelief. I've finally found you. I blinked. Finally confirmed. The person saved back then was none other than the Prince of Yang. He stared blankly at me for a long while before finally coming to his senses. Blushing, he let go of me and spoke one sentence after another. Do you remember me? I'm the blind patient you rescued in Jiangdong 3 years ago, the one whose clothes you helped change back then. I've been looking for you for years, but I never knew your name. I never expected to run into you today. Oh, right, my name is Zhu Jingyuan, but you can just call me by my courtesy name, Huijin. I couldn't help but smile wryly. I once heard from a maid that the Prince of Yang was a man of few words, but seeing him today, she must have misheard. The man before me clearly wishes he could tell me all the words he's held back for 3 years. The next moment, the sound of guards searching for someone suddenly came from outside the window. I stood up, telling Zhu Jingyuan to stay inside and not move, ready to send the person away. Just a few steps out, someone suddenly tugged at the corner of my clothes. Light and shadow flickered and intertwined inside the room. With only the young man's pair of eyes visible, it was astonishingly bright. He pleaded with me, a little aggrieved. This time, can you tell me your name? I don't want to miss out on many more years. 08. I didn't tell Zhu Jingyuan my name, but I told him that we would meet again soon. Zhu Jingyuan's originally moist peach blossom eyes suddenly darkened, but he still nodded. All right, I trust you. After stepping outside, the guards sent by Zhao Heng saw that it was me in the room. They all knew that the Prince of Yang had fled precisely because he didn't want to marry me. Without even asking further, he turned and left. After returning from the temple, I waited quietly at the residence for A few days, sure enough, news came. Although I had helped Zhu Jingyuan divert the guards that day, he was still alone. After walking not much further, I was captured and brought back by Zhao Heng's men. At this moment, I am being disciplined inside the Crown Prince's hall. I stood up and asked a maid to prepare the carriage for me to go to the palace. She looked at me in confusion and asked, "Both princes are angry right now. What are you going there for?" I lowered my eyes and smiled to go and fulfill a promise. Of course, when I arrived outside the hall, the first thing I heard was the sound of a teacup shattering on the floor, and the cold scolding from Zhao Heng through the crack in the door. I looked up. Zhu Jingyuan was kneeling on the ground, but he still showed no sign of giving in. "Imperial brother, I have found the woman who saved me back then. I've been searching for her all these years, and now that I've finally met her, I beg you, please just let us be together." Zhao Heng seemed to be furious. He pressed his fingers to his forehead, his expression one of exasperation. Just then, a palace attendant announced my arrival to him. For a long moment, he let out a helpless sigh. "Very well, since you are determined not to marry, Lady Shen is here. You may explain it to her yourself." Zhu Jingyuan was taken aback, then realized what Zhao Heng meant by his words. He immediately stood up and spoke before I could even approach. "Miss Shen, I already have someone in my heart. So this marriage arrangement is just." He turned his head and met my smiling eyes, suddenly froze in disbelief. I gave him a slight bow, smiling. I said, "Your Highness, the Prince of Yang, I didn't lie to you. We meet again." Zhu Jingyuan said nothing. In his originally stunned eyes, immense joy slowly began to surface. He stared at me for a long time, so long that Zhao Heng noticed something was wrong. As if sensing something, he interrupted, "Jingyuan, why are you standing there in a daze? You were the one who wanted to call off this engagement." Hearing this, Zhu Jingyuan suddenly snapped back to reality. He hurriedly knelt down, as if afraid that a second's delay might cause a mistake. "Imperial brother, I'm not calling off the engagement anymore. This marriage is excellent. I want to marry her." Not expecting him to suddenly change his mind, Zhao Heng instinctively shot me an ambiguous glance. The knuckles resting on the knee tightened. After a long moment, a bitterly ironic laugh escaped. "Weren't you just saying you'd found the love of your life and would marry no one else? How come you changed your mind the moment you saw Shen Qingzi?" Zhao Heng's words came to an abrupt halt, because at this moment, he finally thought of a possibility. Perhaps back then, the one who saved the Prince of Yang, the woman he had searched for over many years, vowing to marry none but her. "That's me, 09. The Prince of Yang was willing to marry me after just one meeting." The news quickly spread throughout the capital. The common people, unaware of the truth, thought I had a face as fair as a lotus blossom. They believed it had bewitched Zhu Jingyuan, driving him out of his senses. Even at banquets in the palace, noble ladies came specifically to catch a glimpse of me. People crowded together, and someone accidentally knocked over a wine cup, staining my dress. Having no other choice, I had to follow the maid to a side chamber to change my clothes. No sooner had I entered and placed my fingers on my sash than I heard a cold, grave accusation. "You never told me that you had once saved the Prince of Yang." It was Zhao Heng. He had been waiting there for a long time, expressionless. He slowly emerged from behind the screen. His dark eyes stared at me with an uncertain expression. I paused, my tone calm. "At the time, I did not know that the person I saved was the Prince of Yang. It is a healer's duty to save others, so there is nothing more to say." Zhao Heng, however, was not convinced. "Is that so? First the Prince of Yang, then me. Every person you've saved has been an imperial prince. Who would believe that you have no ambition to climb the ranks by currying favor with the powerful?" With every word he spoke, he moved closer to me. The dress still wet from the wine clung to my body, making me very uncomfortable. I instinctively tightened my grip on the belt and took a step back. He saw my movement. Zhao Heng's eyes darkened as he leaned down with a hint of mischief. "Why hide? It's just changing clothes." "In the past life, was there any part of you I hadn't seen? Even the red mole on your lower back, I've kissed it." Furious and at the end of my patience, I interrupted him. "Your Highness, mind your words." The next moment, someone knocked on the door. A figure stood outside, asking with concern, "Miss Shen, you've been changing for quite a while. I heard some noise just now. Did something happen?" It was Su Wan'er's voice, and also the one who was originally designated as the crown princess. Zhao Heng did care about her after all. Quickly wiping away his expression, he gave me a deep look and stood back behind the screen. I hurriedly threw on an outer robe. Only after calming down did I finally step out. Su Wan'er looked over my shoulder, peering inside the door. Seeing that it was dimly lit within and there was no sign of anyone else, she finally withdrew her gaze. She asked casually, as if unintentionally, "I came to the banquet with His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, but after he headed this way, he disappeared. Miss Shen, have you seen His Highness?" My expression remained unchanged, and upon hearing this, I even smiled at her. "No, perhaps he went somewhere else." 10 After returning from the palace banquet, thinking back to the confrontation with Zhao Heng, I still feel a lingering fear. Fortunately, my wedding to the Prince of Yang is approaching, so I no longer need to go to the palace. I just need to stay in the mansion peacefully and wait for the wedding. During this time, Zhu Jingyuan always finds ways to come and see me, and whenever he comes, he brings me all sorts of little trinkets, those casually gifted hairpins and trinkets. The other noble ladies looked at them with envy. This is from the largest jewelry shop in the capital. Only 2 sets are released each month, and they are priceless. We can't even buy them even if we wanted to. I was quite surprised. After asking about the price, he privately told Zhu Jingyuan to stop sending gifts. He looked at me with smiling eyes, but didn't comply. "That won't do. What I give to my future wife must be the best." Seeing that my appetite was poor, he made a special trip overnight to Huayan, just to buy my favorite pastries from that one shop. The next morning, as soon as I opened the door of my room, I saw him sitting in the courtyard, holding the steaming hot pastries. Despite the dark circles of exhaustion under his eyes, but she smiled and urged me, "Qingxi, hurry, if you're any slower, it'll get cold." He picked up a piece of pastry and carefully brought it to my lips. After I bit into it, the familiar, delicate sweetness spread through my mouth. My eyes suddenly grew moist. In my previous life, after marrying Zhao Heng, I spent my entire life in the palace. In this rebirth, I never once returned to my family home. Now, I taste this flavor again. Truly, it felt like another lifetime. Seeing me in tears, Zhu Jingyuan suddenly panicked. He became flustered, fumbling for a handkerchief and wanting to wipe my tears away. He thought he had somehow upset me. "Qingxi, don't cry. If there's anything you don't like about me, I'll change it." I shook my head. "You're not bad at all. It's not that I'm unhappy either. On the contrary, I am overjoyed that in this life, I no longer have to waste my years in vain. Overjoyed that in this life, I have found a husband who holds me in his heart." 11 Zhu Jingyuan is a prince of the blood. Before our wedding, I must enter the palace with him to pay respects to the various nobles. Yet, as I stood outside Empress Dowager Liu's palace, I hesitated. In my previous life, although Zhao Heng doted on me, it also stirred up much discontent. They say I lack the virtue befitting my position and have bewitched the sovereign. At first, he paid no heed to such words. He even went so far as to punish the ministers on my account and became estranged from the Empress Dowager. But as time passed, things changed. It happened that there was a severe drought among the people at that time. So I, as the Empress, led everyone in praying for rain. Yet the drought showed no signs of improving. Then some said that my lack of virtue had provoked the wrath of heaven. When these words reached Zhao Heng's ears, he did not punish those spreading the rumors as he would have done in the past. After a long silence, she finally spoke to the palace maid. "Perhaps I truly made a mistake in marrying this empress of mine." So the next day, when Empress Dowager Liu ordered me to kneel in punishment outside the palace gates, I had no idea what I had done wrong. She wanted to plead with Zhao Heng, but for the first time, he refused. His tone was gentle, yet his words were cruel. "If the Grand Empress Dowager punishes you, just bear it." The Grand Empress Dowager Liu loathed her to the extreme. Once she realized Zhao Heng no longer protected her, she began to make things difficult for her at every turn. 4 months on end, I constantly had new injuries on me. From then on, whenever I saw Empress Dowager Liu, my entire body would tremble so much that I could hardly speak. Noticing that something was off with me, Zhu Jingyuan suddenly took my hand. He blinked and whispered into my ear, "Her imperial grandmother is strict and never has a kind word for anyone, But don't worry, when we pay our respects later, she'll definitely scold only me. She won't scold you at all. I was somewhat stunned. I had no idea what he meant until he heard Zhu Jingyuan say to the Dowager Empress Liu, Imperial Grandmother, your grandson is about to be married soon, but just thinking of you alone in the deep palace breaks my heart. He pointed to the 4 handsome young men behind him. His tone was full of concern, so I specially selected a few thoughtful people to send over. Grandmother, do you like them? If that's not enough, I can find more. He wondered where exactly he had found these people. As soon as he finished speaking, the 4 of them knelt down together, vying to speak first. Your Highness, I can play string and wind instruments as well as sing. So can I. I also know how to massage shoulders and legs. Serving others is what I'm best at. What's that compared to me? I can even warm the bed. Your Highness, just choose me alone, that's enough. For a moment, the hall was bustling with noise and excitement. I was stunned. I really hadn't expected Zhu Jingyuan to dare do something like this, giving a male concubine to grandmother. He's the only one who would ever do such a thing. Sure enough, the next moment, Empress Dowager Liu flew into a rage. Without even asking me a word, she directly threw us out. She also deducted Zhu Jingyuan's salary for a year and ordered him never to come to pay respects again. After stepping outside, I recalled the livid expression on Empress Dowager Liu's face. Couldn't help but let out a smile. It was like a breath of foul air held in the chest from a past life, suddenly released in the present. 12. The marriage of an imperial prince is different from that of commoners. I don't need to embroider my own wedding dress, but Zhu Jingyuan insisted that I embroider a belt for him. He said that only a man cherished by his wife wouldn't be laughed at when out in public. I reluctantly agreed. The day the embroidery was finished, Zhu Jingyuan came, yet his expression was very grave. News came from the palace today that the crown prince's wedding has been postponed. The elder brother marrying first is the rule of Great Zhu. If he does not marry, no one else can, so our wedding will have to be postponed as well. My hand gripping the belt tightened. A strange sense of unease began to spread in my heart. After a long pause, I managed a faint smile. In that case, there's no help but to postpone it. Zhu Jingyuan, however, had a grim look on his face as he stood up and walked outside. I'm going to ask His Majesty. Unable to stop him, I could only watch as he mounted his horse and rode toward the palace. After waiting anxiously and restlessly for most of the day, I was afraid that Zhu Jingyuan might have some conflict with Zhao Heng. He finally returned near dusk, but his face was gloomy, his knuckles clenched white. The emperor refused to see me. I waited outside for a long time and said I wouldn't leave unless he told me the reason. Only then did he say he was feeling unwell, which was why the wedding date had been postponed. I frowned. In his previous life, Zhao Heng had been very healthy, rarely even falling ill. Why would he suddenly feel unwell at this point? Zhu Jingyuan kicked a pebble by his foot in frustration, but I checked all the imperial physicians' pulse diagnosis records for him, and they all say he is healthy, without a single ailment. I asked other palace servants, and they said that recently he has been very cold toward the candidate for the crown princess, and often stares at a portrait in a daze at night. He gave a cold sneer, his tone full of certainty. He must have changed his mind and doesn't want to marry Sue Wan'er anymore, and yet his forced our wedding to be postponed as well. What a heartless and fickle man. I quickly covered his mouth, afraid that someone else might hear those words. Zhu Jingyuan, caught in my embrace, let himself fall into my arms. He lingered against me for a long time before finally looking up, utterly solemn. It's not anything else that I'm upset about, it's just that I want to marry you as soon as I can. 13. The wedding date has been postponed again and again, not to mention Zhu Jingyuan, even those unaware of the situation, could probably guess that something has gone wrong with the crown prince's marriage arrangement. At the Mid-Autumn Festival banquet, I saw Sue Wan'er walking far behind the other noble ladies. She looked much thinner than when I last saw her, and her eyes were a little red. I couldn't quite put my finger on what I felt. Clearly, in this life, I had nothing to do with Zhao Heng. She still didn't get what she wanted at the banquet. When it was time for everyone to exchange pleasantries, it was Zhu Jingyuan's turn to speak. Ever since he went to the palace to ask for the reason last time, his relationship with Zhao Heng had become very strained. At this moment, the words were even sharper and more piercing. I wish His Majesty good health and a swift marriage. Do not let Miss Sue's sincere devotion and years of patient waiting be in vain. As for your servant's own arranged marriage, it cannot wait that long either." Zhao Heng's expression remained as usual, as if unable to read. Between the lines of his words, he casually had someone take a seat. "I have no official rank, so by rights I shouldn't be able to sit beside Zhu Jingyuan." Yet he paid no heed and ordered his own seat to be removed. "Sit with me at the end of the banquet table." He didn't eat anything himself, but kept putting food on my plate. Even Empress Wang couldn't help teasing when she saw this. Heng truly arranged an excellent match for Jingyuan. That once idle and dissolute man has now learned to care for his wife. Zhao Heng's eyes deepened in color. He retorted coolly, "We are not yet married. How can she be considered my wife?" His blunt refusal to spare anyone's feelings momentarily chilled the atmosphere at the table. Zhu Jingyuan, standing beside me, was so angry that his fists were clenched. Empress Wang probably also thought of our repeatedly postponed wedding. After deliberating for a moment, she made a suggestion to His Majesty. "The Crown Prince is unwell, so why not let the Prince of Yang marry first? A joyous occasion in the palace might just help the Crown Prince recover." Zhu Jingyuan's eyes lit up. He was about to kneel down with me to express gratitude, however. Thud, a soft, crisp sound interrupted all of this. Everyone looked up. The cup in the Crown Prince's hand had been crushed into several fragments. Zhao Heng clutched his chest as if in great pain. Lowering his voice to give orders, the solitary figure suddenly felt very unwell. Someone immediately wanted to call the imperial physician. For a moment, the hall was in chaos. I knew that this marriage arrangement could not be settled today. Lowering my gaze, I prepared to withdraw with Zhu Jingyuan, but suddenly, I heard someone softly call my name, Shen Qingxi, supported by others. Zhao Heng's gaze was fixed on me. "She once saved Ji Yu and is aware of my condition. Let her come and treat me." 14. Upon hearing these words, Zhu Jingyuan immediately shielded me behind him. "No, even though she has studied medicine, the Crown Prince is too precious. If something really goes wrong, how could she bear the responsibility?" Empress Wang thought the same, but Zhao Heng did not move. His face gradually turned pale, yet he stubbornly refused to leave. He insisted with great obstinacy that he wanted only me, fearing that something might truly happen to him. It was ultimately His Majesty who gave the order, granting me permission to treat him without fear for my own life. Regardless of the outcome, "Go ahead, I'll take responsibility if anything happens." I nodded at Zhu Jingyuan when I took Zhao Heng's pulse. He gazed at me absently. A hint of long-lost nostalgia suddenly flickered across his expression. I withdrew my hand and looked at the imperial physicians waiting outside. "His Highness is not seriously unwell. He is merely emotionally agitated and will recover after a short rest." That diagnosis was no different from what the physicians had just said. Only then did His Majesty and Empress Wang heave a sigh of relief, after everyone had dispersed. I made my judgment expressionlessly. "Your Highness is feigning illness." Why, Zhao Heng hadn't expected me to be so blunt, yet he still smiled. "Yes, I was pretending, not just this time. But all those excuses to postpone the wedding were fake too. The only reason was to stop you from marrying the Prince of Yang." "But Qingxi, do you truly not know why?" He stood up and took out a painting from behind the bed. It was a woman dressed in coarse linen. She was brewing medicine as the wind lifted her hair, revealing half of a delicate profile. That was a portrait Zhao Heng painted of me when I was among the common people. He looked at the unfamiliar way I appeared to him, and there was a hint of pain in his eyes. "Earlier, I was wrong to think that as long as I stayed away from you, I could forget you. Only at the palace banquet did I realize, when I saw the Prince of Yang treating you so well, and the affection between you two, that I was actually jealous, to the brink of madness. So, even if it means being criticized by the whole world, I still do not wish to lose you." Even though I had long braced myself for it, my heart still trembled heavily. Instinctively, I took a step back. I wanted to remind him, "I am already betrothed. It was you yourself who arranged the marriage between me and the Prince of Yang. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, I should already be married." "So what?" he sneered. "This marriage was bestowed by me, so naturally I also have the right to revoke it. Besides, Zhu Jingyuan decided to marry you after only one meeting. How much true affection can he have for you? How can that compare to our bond over 2 lifetimes? I shook my head, convinced that he had gone mad. What about Wan'er? She is your crown princess. Zhao Heng was silent for a moment. As if with regret, he let out a sigh. I have wronged her, but perhaps there is no fate between us. After I am gone, a suitable marriage will naturally be arranged for her, ensuring a stable and peaceful life for the rest of her days. No, it won't. Zhao Heng understands Wan'er even better than I do, clearly knowing that she has an extremely proud spirit and will not tolerate such humiliation. I would rather die than marry anyone else. My intuition told me I couldn't stay any longer, so I turned and ran outside only to find many guards stationed outside the room. As soon as I stepped out, they surrounded me completely. Zhao Hengru followed like a ghost. You will stay in the side hall from now on. Don't think about running away. As you've seen, you don't stand a chance. 15. Zhao Heng imprisoned me in the side hall to the outside. He claimed it was to have me nurse his health. I was so terrified that I dared not even sleep at night, secretly hiding a hairpin under my pillow that very night. I saw Zhao Heng after his bath. When she stepped into the room in her inner garments, I suddenly gripped the hairpin tightly. Zhao Heng brushed it off dismissively. You're just a woman. How could you possibly harm me? I shook my head and reversed the sharp tip, pressing it against my own throat. I never intended to hurt you, but if you try anything, I would rather die than submit. Zhao Heng's face darkened. Why? He demanded through gritted teeth. What's so good about that brother of mine, that you would rather lose your life than forsake your loyalty to him? Don't you remember that we were supposed to be husband and wife for a lifetime? Watching him approach step by step, I immediately applied more force. At the sight of blood, Zhao Heng had no choice but to stop. He softened his tone to soothe me. Qingxi, was I not good enough to you in the past life? You were the empress for a lifetime, enjoying glory above 10,000 others and the emperor's exclusive favor. Are you truly willing to give all that up? I interrupted him. Not good enough. Those were just things you assumed I wanted and forced upon me. Zhao Heng, you have no true feelings for me whatsoever, so why put on this act? You're just unwilling to accept that something of yours has been taken away. Does Zhao Heng have any feelings for me? Perhaps a trace. But it's only a trace. It can neither compare to his royal dignity nor to his guilt towards Wan'er. In the end, it became a blade that pierced me instead. The room fell silent for a moment. Zhao Heng stood where he was, his face growing darker, beside himself with rage. He let out a cold laugh. So what Zhu Jingyuan gave you is exactly what you wanted. Then I shall see if he is willing to give everything for you. 16. Zhu Jingyuan hadn't seen me return to the residence all night. On the second day, he will surely come looking. Zhao Heng covered my mouth and hid me behind the screen. Listen carefully to what he has in store for you. Moments later, the tightly shut palace doors were violently thrust open. Zhu Jingyuan seemed to feel no pain and paid no heed to rank or etiquette. He confronted Zhao Heng aggressively. Where is Qingxi? Where have you hidden her? Zhao Heng ignored him, looking down from above. Jingyuan, I've given it some thought. Miss Shen is not of noble birth and doesn't match your status. This betrothal is hereby called off. As long as you agree, you may have your pick of any woman under heaven. With these words, Zhao Heng's ulterior motives could no longer be hidden. Zhu Jingyuan was momentarily stunned, having probably not expected this. His elder brother had secretly been coveting his future wife. Zhu Jingyuan's voice was tight as he asked with a cold expression, what if I disagree? Having been an emperor for a lifetime in his past life, few dared to defy Zhao Heng, and his expression darkened, yet he still replied gloomily, then you can go to the frontier to lead the army, never to enter the capital for the rest of your life, and spend your days in that harsh, cold land. Even the least favored imperial princes in the capital would not have their fiefdoms too far away, and could still return to the capital during festivals if I agreed to it. It would essentially be no different from exile. I suddenly felt a bit nervous. Zhu Jingyuan and Zhao Heng were born of the same mother. Because he was the youngest, Zhu Jingyuan was actually quite doted on. With a delicate temperament, everything he played with or used was the finest. Before he met me, Everyone assumed by default that he would marry the noblest lady. Would he really give all of this up for me? But the next moment, Zhu Jingyuan smiled as if this request was no different from the simplest thing. Picking a flower by the roadside, he knelt down without the slightest hesitation and kowtowed 3 times heavily. The heir's word is law. I accept your terms, brother. Now please return Qingzi to me. Zhao Heng was almost bewildered. Are you willing to give up all honor and wealth for a woman, not just any woman? Zhu Jingyuan spoke each word with solemnity. She is the wife with whom I will spend my entire life, staying by her side and walking through the years together. Zhao Heng was taken aback. His originally furious countenance suddenly looked somewhat lost. I closed my eyes for a moment, summoning strength from somewhere unknown. I suddenly lurched forward together with the chair I was tied to. I fell to the ground. Zhu Jingyuan came over at the noise, untied the ropes, and lifted me up before leaving. He looked back coldly. Do you know, Zhao Heng, you are unworthy of being a husband, and unworthy of being my brother. 17 Only after leaving the palace did I come to know that day. Zhu Jingyuan did not come alone. The emperor, Empress Wang, and even Empress Dowager Liu had all followed him. They did not enter the door, yet they heard every word Zhao Heng said. Empress Wang, her eyes red, stood in disbelief. Ah Heng, are you trying to take your own younger brother's wife? If this gets out, do you know how the officials will see you, and what the history books will say about you? Do you still want your position as crown prince? Zhao Heng asked back stubbornly. Since I am the crown prince, she is just a woman after all. Why can't I ask for it, and why can't I just take it? He spoke plausibly and with great confidence. His expression was almost frantic, showing no trace of remorse. Empress Dowager Liu could no longer bear to listen and slowly stepped forward. A slap sent his face turning away. Your Majesty, you have failed to discipline your son. It's time to temper his character properly. Thus, the emperor decreed that Zhao Heng be confined to the palace under house arrest for 1 month. As I was carried out of the palace gates, I suddenly caught sight of a figure. Wan'er. She saw me too, yet showed no surprise, as if she had long expected this day to come. Your Highness has done it after all. When I first found that painting in his palace, I already knew I could never be the crown prince's consort. I didn't know what to say, and could only whisper after a long pause, I am sorry, for the past life, and for this one as well. It has ruined her chance at marriage. Wan'er looked up and wiped away her tears with her fingertips. She walked toward the inner palace walls, her robes fluttered in the wind, carrying an indescribable sense of finality. Before leaving, she gave me a resigned smile. After this, Father finally agreed to let me call off this engagement. I will not be the crown princess. 18 After taking me back to the residence, I wanted to explain to Zhu Jingyuan, but he was staring at the wound on my neck, holding me tightly in his arms. His tone was low, as if he was relieved of a heavy burden. Needless to say, the fact that you're unharmed is enough. Only then did I finally relax. Leaning against his chest, I fell into a deep sleep. The next day, Zhu Jingyuan voluntarily petitioned the emperor, stating that he had come of age and was preparing to go to his fiefdom. Although no border region was chosen at the request of His Majesty and Empress Wang, it remains a remote place, so remote that a single journey from the capital takes half a month. Empress Wang still wished to keep him, but Zhu Jingyuan spoke up. It's better to keep some distance, otherwise, someone might start getting thoughts they shouldn't have. Time was tight, and Zhu Jingyuan and I had no time to get married. So we decided to hold the wedding banquet only after arriving at our fiefdom. The day of departure, watching the capital gradually recede into the distance, he suddenly let out a sigh of relief. I lifted the carriage curtain, and it seemed I saw atop the city wall a figure standing there gazing in this direction. He did not move for a long time. I withdrew my gaze expressionlessly, listening to Zhu Jingyuan say to me with a smile, although the fief is far from the capital, it is very close to Huayan and Jiangdong. If you miss home, you can go back to visit often. But, he deliberately drew out the tone, piquing my curiosity. But what? Zhu Jingyuan's smile deepened, and he held my waist tightly, refusing to let go. Just don't be gone too long, my lady, and forget that someone is waiting for you at home. I laughed and scolded him for being improper, but in my heart, I was thinking the same. At last, in this life, I will not be trapped in that gilded cage. Ahead lies the vastness of spring days. Someone walks hand in hand with me toward it. End. That's the end of the first story. Don't go away, the next stories are even more exciting. In the 5th year after faking my death to leave the palace, I suddenly fell gravely ill. No doctor could diagnose the cause. I had no choice but to seek out a fortune teller. She made a quick calculation, then her expression changed. How long has it been since you last went home? Don't your family members think you're dead and hold a soul-summoning ritual for you? I shook my head. I often exchange letters with my elder brother. Have you ever offended anyone formidable? I instinctively shook my head in a flash of thought. I recalled that emperor in the palace. I had deeply offended him, but that was a long time ago. In the years I was gone, he had beauties by his side. You've probably even forgotten what I look like. The fortune teller's expression was firm. No, I didn't miscalculate. The one who summoned your spirit is no ordinary person, but a noble figure wrapped in purple aura. 01. I dropped a silver ingot. Is there any way? The witch didn't rush to take it. It's difficult. The one who summoned your soul for you must have gathered many sorcerers to work for him. Truly, his power knows no bounds. You are a living person. If someone performs a ritual to drain your soul, how could you not suffer the backlash? I frowned deeply. So I just have to wait for death. The shaman gave me some advice. If you know who that person is, you must go and show yourself before him, and within 3 months at that, otherwise, your body won't hold up. I froze for a moment, forcing a smile. I said, understood, I'll go back and think it over, who it could be. As I was leaving, I still couldn't let it go. If you find a way to break the curse, you must come to me. No amount of reward is too much. I run 2 rice shops in Muzhou City. People call me shopkeeper when for 5 years, no one has known that I once consort Li in the palace. 02. I come from a rundown marquis's manor. The title has been passed down from generation to generation and has always fallen into the hands of those who never strive for progress. Gradually, he lost all his reputation. It seemed only a matter of time before his title would be revoked. Then, unexpectedly, my elder brother passed the Imperial Civil Service examination. Thus, the precarious Zhenan Marquisate was saved, appointed to official posts and granted noble titles. How splendid it was! Even the major matters of life were settled all at once. On the very day the results were announced, he was caught by a son-in-law hunter. To his surprise, the one who took a fancy to him was none other than Zhao Yuyan, the eldest daughter of the Duke of Paigua. On the day she married my elder brother, double happiness arrived. An imperial edict was delivered to the Marquis's mansion, summoning me to the palace as a consort. That year, I was 15. I became Chu Yu's first consort after he ascended the throne. He was incomparably handsome and extraordinarily elegant. I am very pleased with my own destination. Someone joked that after years of nothing but grey smoke rising from the Marquis's ancestral grave, at last a wisp of green auspicious smoke had emerged. The eldest son, Pei Qing, had gained an official position and married a noble lady. The second daughter, Pei Sai, gained the emperor's favor and was bestowed with glory and affection. I had been in the palace for 3 years, and during those 3 years, Chu Yu loved me deeply. It was not until my elder brother, who had been serving as an official in a remote region, finally returned to the capital. He had been sent away to gain experience shortly after his marriage, but fortunately, Zhao Yuyan was willing to follow him. He had outstanding political achievements and it was time for a promotion. Just at that moment, I was diagnosed as pregnant. Chu Yu was overjoyed. He not only arranged a palace banquet to celebrate, but also bestowed rewards upon the Marquis's residents. Chu Yu led Zhao Yuyan to the banquet to express their gratitude. Everyone present could see it clearly. The moment Chu Yu looked at Zhao Yuyan, he nearly crushed his wine glass. What's more, he rarely showed an expression of unwillingness. Only then did I realize, even before Chu Yu ascended the throne, he and Zhao Yuyan were a couple. But Zhao Yuyan had a dispute with him. She demanded that in Chu Yu's harem, there could be only her. Chu Yu refused, saying there was no such rule to spite the one she loved. Zhao Yuyan personally chose my elder brother as her husband. Yet when the wedding day arrived, Chu Yu did not come to win her back. Instead, he directly issued an imperial decree naming me the sister of Zhao Yuyen's husband. As a concubine, he doted on me exclusively for 3 years, never once mentioning Zhao Yuyen in my presence. I suppose it's because she and my elder brother are both not in the capital, out of sight, out of mind. But longing is such that the more you try to suppress it, the more it surges forth like a tide at some unforeseen moment. For instance, when he met her again at the palace banquet 03 that night, Zhao Yuyan was unable to leave the palace. It was I who personally kept her there. Chuyu sent me, Consort Li, go tell your eldest sister-in-law that you wish to catch up with her. Your concubine will not go. His gaze grew deep and dark, like a tightly bound rope coiling around my neck, making it impossible to breathe. Be obedient. Tomorrow, I will make you an imperial noble consort. Eyelashes suddenly quivered, and large drops of tears rolled down. If it were merely a request for your sister-in-law to reminisce about the past, why use the position of an imperial consort to tempt me? I am content with what I have and dare not covet a high rank. I only wish for your sister-in-law and elder brother to leave the palace safely. Chu Yu's face darkened. Do you truly wish for your elder brother to leave the palace safely? I felt a chill all over my body. Zhao Yuyan was kept in the palace for 7 days. During those 7 days, Chu Yu never came to see me, but even if he had, with my suddenly gaunt and haggard face, I would hardly be fit to receive a visitor. I cannot fall asleep at all every night. As soon as I close my eyes, I think of Pei Qing's hesitant, lingering figure as he left, and the mournful, heavy look in his eyes when he gazed at me. I picked up my pen and wrote him a letter. In the letter, I wrote down everything I knew, and everything he wanted to know. Before sending the letter, I went to see Zhao Yuyan. I asked her if she had any words she wanted me to bring to my elder brother. She lifted her languid eyes and said in a faint voice, "Nobody wants to see things come to this, but he doesn't have to wait for me. Among the noble ladies in the capital, many admire his valor. Let him choose 1 or 2 and take good care of himself." Following her words, I delivered the letter to the Marquis's residence, but I never expected that upon receiving the letter, Pei Qing would voluntarily request a posting to guard the frontier. The day he left, I took the token without permission. I chased him to the city gate to stop him. I asked him why. He looked into the distance toward the Vermilion Wall. In our marriage, I only wished her a fulfilling life. The farther I go, the better. I didn't stop him anymore, but as I went to hug him one last time, I said something that seemed to come out of nowhere. If you hear news about me, don't panic, I'll contact you again. Pei Qing was full of confusion, but he didn't press further. A place with people coming and going is not suitable for saying too much. I watched him leave the city, my hand slowly resting over my lower abdomen. I have already made up my mind. I don't want to return to the palace. I don't want to be there, anxiously vying for favor with my eldest brother's wife. As my thoughts gradually cleared, the tears on my face dried. I resolutely turned around and headed straight back to the Marquis's mansion. Then I set up a scheme, making everyone believe that I had died there. 04 I changed my name and identity, becoming a rice merchant's daughter named Wenqiu. I did not come to Muzhou right from the start. This place is one I carefully chose. The climate is mild, and it feels like spring all year round. I haven't been sick for a long time. This time it hit me hard and fast. I'm taking medicine. I even went to see a witch doctor, but her words were both shocking and suspicious. Impossible to believe. Could it really be Chuyu summoning my spirit? What did he intend to do? Could it be that he resented me for taking our unborn royal child to death with me, and wanted to whip my spirit in retaliation? That doesn't make any sense. Even if it were true, why would I go to see him? That would be deceiving the emperor. I'd be put to death even if I hadn't died of illness. I can't, and I don't dare take that risk. I still have Ingera to raise. Mother, I've brought the medicine back for you. A jade-white and adorable young lad suddenly appeared at the courtyard gate. The little boots stomped, and she whirled in front of me like a gust of wind. Skillfully, she unfolded the medicine packet and brought it to my mouth. Mama, take it. Quickly, quickly. All right, I'll decoct it right away and drink it. After taking it, I gave it a cursory glance. Inside were medicinal ingredients such as pseudo-ginseng and fleeceflower root. How could Yingjia understand which herbs to gather? All he knew was to run to those who knew how to treat illnesses and ask, "My mother is very sick. Do you know how to cure her?" Some who are conscientious will bring him to their homes and personally attend to him. Others, greedy for his money, will simply prescribe some mild tonics, wrap them into a packet, and have him buy them. Nowadays, he no longer flies kites nor keeps little birds all day long. He is either searching for medicine or on his way to being swindled out of his money, but I wouldn't call him foolish. Yingjie is the most considerate child. I must live on even more determinedly. I fetched paper and brush, then wrote down the troubles here in full. Pei Qing must be informed. He is knowledgeable and experienced, so he surely knows how to handle this. Moreover, by the second year after I left the palace, he had already risen to the position of Governor General. He certainly has no shortage of talented and extraordinary people around him. On my way back from mailing a letter, I passed by a house. Inside, the air was thick with smoke and the faint sound of a little girl crying could be heard. Oh no, there's a child inside. Steeling myself, I rushed in and carried her out. Neighbors rushed over to put out the fire. Just as the flames were nearly out, the child's mother came back in a fluster. She grabbed her half-sized daughter and hit her, scolding, "That's what you get for copying mommy lighting the brazier. Are you scared now? Let's see if you dare do it again." I looked more closely and saw she was exactly the shamaness I had visited the other day. As it happened, she recognized me too. "Why, aren't you the one who got summoned?" I nodded. She stamped her foot hard. "Forget it, though I'm not very confident. I don't mind going all out this time and performing a ritual to stabilize your soul." 05 In the dead of night, she lit several oil lamps mixed with cinnabar around me. They also placed all kinds of talismans on top. Moreover, they tied a red string soaked with the blood from my fingertip around my wrist. She circled the lamp formation, ringing a bell and chanting spells. I closed my eyes first. There was silence in my ears, followed by a sharp, piercing whine. It was like someone ringing a bell in the distance, or wind sweeping across countless taut strings. Finally, it transformed into a man's voice, low and indistinct. Consort Li, come back." I snapped my eyes open. Something felt like it was desperately squeezing into my very bones. The pain made me knock over a lamp. Lamp oil spilled onto the ground. The witch also spat out a mouthful of black blood. Her breathing was heavy and labored. My own heartbeat was pounding like thunder. "Miss Wen, it's no use. I can no longer perform this ritual." She looked at me, and there was fear in her eyes. "I'm afraid that side will also notice your movements." 06 I forced myself to get up, but collapsed with a thud after just 2 steps. I don't know how long I was unconscious. When I woke up, Yingjie was standing by the bed with reddened eyes, and the maidservant also had a worried look on her face. "Master, you've finally woken up. Even at your weakest in the past, you never fainted for this many days." "I'm much better now." I slowly got up, touched Ingara's face, and soothed him. Then I instructed the maid that I was going on a long trip. The rice shop would be left to the shop assistant. For now, no need to wait for a reply. I'm going directly to find Pei Qing, and my intuition tells me to avoid Muzhou for the time being. Yingjie is coming with me. "Mother, where are we going?" "Going to visit family." His round eyes widened. "Did you find my dad?" I was stunned for a moment, then I suddenly remembered when he was 3 years old, seeing other children with their fathers while he had none. He ran back and asked me, "Where's Dad? Has he abandoned us?" "That's not how it was," I explained patiently. "Your mother met your father on the road while fleeing from hardship. I was weak back then, and he took care of me along the way. That was when you came into my womb. Unfortunately, the journey was full of twists and turns, and we got separated. In this bustling world, once you miss someone, it's hard to ever meet them again." Yingjie seemed to half understand. "I will never get separated from you, Mother." Little liar, he had run away several times because he was too fond of play. Fortunately, I had built up many good ties in Muzhou City. Usually, when a household was short of money, I would let them buy on credit, taking the rice home first to fill their bellies. So after they found Inga, they all rushed to bring him to me. This time, the journey to find my elder brother is long, so I must keep even closer watch. But when I reached the city gate, I found something amiss today. They were conducting strict checks on those leaving the city. An inexplicable tightness gripped my heart. I didn't rush over. Instead, I bribed a nearby vendor and asked him to go inquire. I found out, It seems they've received orders from above recently. No one is allowed to leave the city without strict checks, everyone must be examined one by one, and it's not just Muzhou City, the surrounding areas are the same. I wonder if some wanted fugitives have sneaked in. It's really frightening. I didn't dare go over. After returning, I grew even more uneasy, using the excuse of focusing on recovering from illness. Have the butler take Yingji back to their own home for a while. I will continue searching for doctors and medicines. Also, step over the brazier as well. It has been dry and hot lately. I was dozing in the afternoon, and in a daze I heard cicadas chirping outside the window, their noise irritating and stifling. I wanted to turn over and go back to sleep, but then I suddenly realized my head no longer hurt. I sat up, moving 3 times faster than usual, yet there was no dizziness at all. In the evening, I was already able to finish an entire bowl of shredded chicken kanji, and also ate 2 pieces of rice cake and steamed egg custard without vomiting. Suddenly, things began to improve. I stepped outside, and even Muzhou City had returned to its usual calm. The city curfew had been lifted. It is said that the culprit has been apprehended and brought to justice. A false alarm, just a false alarm. The steward, hearing that I have recovered, wants to bring Yinga back. Standing at the rice shop, I saw him being led back from afar. He hadn't arrived yet, but he was already making a fuss to buy candied hawthorn sticks. The steward bought him one. He held it up in his hand and turned around with a skip of joy. He turned too quickly and bumped right into someone. The sugar-coated haws on Yingji's stick got stuck on the man's belt, leaving a sticky stain and scattering hawthorns on the ground. Yingji froze for a moment, his mouth puckering as if he was about to cry, but when he looked up, the man's gaze frightened him so much that he dared not move, all because the man was staring intently at Yingji's face. That face was carved from the same mold as mine. I slowly scanned my surroundings. Everything seemed unchanged, but secretly, who knows how many covert guards had been deployed. That's how this scene of the Emperor traveling incognito came to be. The clamor on the street suddenly faded away. 07. Consort Li. Peisai. I don't understand what you're talking about. I have my own name. I'm Wen Qiu. My voice was calm, my brows furrowed in confusion. Chuyu gripped my shoulders, his restrained eyes burning with intense heat, suppressing all surging emotions. He said, "Do you think that by pretending to have lost your memory, I would believe I've mistaken you for someone else? I've been living my life just fine. You show up, mistake me for someone else, and accuse me of faking memory loss. How rude. Please leave at once." Chuyu's face turned stern. He released his grip and turned to walk out. "Summon the prefect of Muzhou and also bring 10 households from the neighborhood. I want to ask them personally. When did this young lady of the Wen family settle here, and what is her background?" As soon as he finished speaking, a sound of sobbing came over. Chuyu's leg, just crossing the threshold, stiffened slightly. He turned his head toward the foot of the wall and saw Inga, frightened into tears. The butler quickly shielded the child behind him. He had likely already guessed that the person before him was no ordinary figure, and chose his words carefully. The young master rarely meets strangers and is rather timid. "Please do not take offense. Do not take offense." Chuyu slowly walked over. He reached out his hand, signaling for Ying Jia, who was behind the steward, to come forward. "What's your name?" When Ying came the cautious tone, Chuyu's stern expression softened, and he gave a slight smile. "Counting the months, you were born in July, correct? Right around this time of year." Brother Ying is very nervous. He vigorously shakes his head one moment, then nods repeatedly the next. Afraid of giving a wrong answer. He is indeed young, but having just witnessed the sight of his home being surrounded, he cannot help but become cautious now. Chuyu gently patted his head. "So obedient, truly a fine child of me and Consort Li." As soon as the words were spoken, a guard hurriedly came to report. A quarter of an hour ago, for reasons unknown, the Marquis of Zhenan also entered Muzhou City. Chuyu was momentarily stunned, then smiled. He returned to my side and asked meaningfully, "Do you think the Marquis of Zhenan is also coming to find an old acquaintance? Who exactly is this person, worth traveling hundreds of miles for?" I wanted to say something, but my lips moved without managing to utter a single word. In that moment of silence, my hesitation was laid bare. Chuyu extended his arm and half pulled, half-dragged me into a nearby room. Young Master Ying was quickly pulled aside by the steward through the door. I heard him let out a sudden wail, which was immediately muffled. Then came the sound of a lock clicking shut. The room was dimly lit, with only a sliver of sunlight seeping in through half a window. I stepped back twice until my back hit the wall. Leaving no room to retreat, I thought he was about to get angry. I saw his jaw tighten, his expression growing more complex, a foreboding sign of an approaching storm. The next moment, he pressed closer and whispered against my neck, "How much longer are you going to deceive me?" His breathing grew heavier, as if a breath he had been holding back for a very, very long time was finally released at this moment. "I missed you. 08 Chuyu is taking our mother and son back to the palace. The rice shop can only be handed over to someone else to manage." There was little ceremony when we left. Ordinary carriages were used, and even the guards had changed into common clothes. Yet their dignified bearing could not be concealed, still catching the eye of Aunt Wang, who was out early pouring away wastewater. In the short time I turned around, the area in front of the gate suddenly became lively. Aunts and uncles I knew all gathered around. What are you doing, shopkeeper Wen? Are you in trouble? Who are these people? How can they force your belongings out in broad daylight? Don't be afraid. If someone's bullying you, we'll report it to the authorities. Yes, report it, quickly, report it to the authorities. Chuyu heard them but did not look back, his profile cold and stern for a moment. Everyone was talking at once, and a few of the younger ones were already about to run out. They all meant well, but they were up against Chuyu, and I fear they might lose their heads. Stop. I took a deep breath. The words were on the tip of my tongue, but I finally let them out. "It's my husband from my hometown. He's come for me. My fault for rarely mentioning him before." Suddenly, it went quiet all around. An elderly woman hadn't heard clearly. She tilted her ear and asked, "What did you say?" "My husband's family has sent someone." Now I can hear it clearly. "Oh, this is good news. Well, it seems we were overthinking it." Chuyu suddenly turned around. He seemed to be in an excellent mood. The gloom in his eyes had dissipated, replaced by a nearly exuberant delight. "My wife has been away from home for many years, and I am grateful for everyone's care. Servants, bring 1,000 taels of silver and distribute it to the neighbors." Those around me cast envious and grateful glances my way. I'm amazed I got such a generous husband. "I have a headache." 09 I ran straight into Pei Ching. He did come to Muzhou after receiving the letter. He came galloping on horseback, his face covered in dust. Having not seen him for years, he had grown thinner. Previously, afraid of being exposed, we only wrote one letter a year and dared not meet in person. Chuyu did not scrutinize why he was here, only ordering him to accompany the imperial carriage and return to the capital to report on his duties along the way. Pei Ching brought up the issue with my health. Only then did Chuyu learn that I had suffered a backlash. He was silent for a long time, his expression complex. "I have been performing a soul-summoning ritual for a living person for 5 years. Ridiculous." Unsure whether he was laughing at himself for being so credulous. I laugh at myself, realizing that everything I've done is not worth it. Only later did I learn that on that same night I knocked over the oil lamp, thousands of miles away in the imperial palace. Chuyu also coughed up blood. Following that faint trace of resonance, the sorcerers pinpointed the area around Muzhou, and as for the sudden improvement in my health, it was also because the soul summoning was halted. That Chuyu had already set off for Muzhou. After returning to the palace, Yingjia became a prince, officially entered into the imperial genealogy. His name was changed to Chu Shenying. My return from the dead caused an uproar. Those outside the palace are to go and gather information from Pei Ching. Those inside the palace have been blocked and sent back by Chuyu. I, as if nothing had happened, was conferred the title of imperial noble consort. On the day of the enfeoffment, the empress let out a sigh of relief, as if lamenting that I had finally returned. This empress was installed in the 3rd year after I faked my death. By then, Chuyu had already been on the throne for 6 years. Court officials and aristocratic families jointly petitioned, asserting that the position of empress absolutely could not remain vacant any longer. Thus, a woman from the Kui clan of Qinghe was chosen. When I went to pay my respects, Empress Kui repeatedly urged me never to meddle with matters of life and death again. I thought it was just the usual admonition, but she personally took me to a place in the old hall. On the long table lay a set of ceremonial robes, folded neatly. They were the ones I wore when I was ennobled as a consort. The blackish ribbed silk had merely faded a bit, as if it had been repeatedly taken out and folded back again. Beside the ceremonial robe lay the jewelry I usually wore. In addition, all over were deeply and shallowly carved runes. There were also bronze mirrors hanging everywhere. After making a full circle, it felt eerily dark. I pressed my arm and felt it covered in goosebumps. Empress Kui stood behind me, her voice lacking its usual calm. Not to mention you being frightened, even I find it terrifying. He kept it hidden for the first couple of years, claiming it was for ritual prayers and blessings. Later, when everyone realized something was wrong and wanted to tear down this hall, he started killing people. After that, no one objected anymore. It's a good thing you've returned. Once this cursed place is torn down, there will be no more strange occurrences in the palace. I could sense there was another meaning behind her words. Only then did I come to understand. She has a legitimate imperial prince named Xianyu, who has just turned 1 year old. But not long after the child was born, he was diagnosed with a heart condition. Empress Kui believed that Chu Yu had touched something he shouldn't have, angering the heavens and bringing misfortune upon the legitimate son. As a result, the emperor and empress grew distant from each other. Unable to control what Chu Yu did, she had no choice but to focus on managing the harem and caring for the child. There were only a few people in the harem. As for Zhao Yuyan, she was not listed among the imperial consorts. Her status was special. She was the daughter of a duke and had once been Pei Qing's wife. Thus, she was granted the title of first-rank madam. The title was conferred upon Zhuang Minute, but according to Empress Kui, not long after Chu Yu began conducting the soul-summoning ritual for me, she moved out of the imperial palace. It seemed that during that period, Chu Yu had become temperamental and prone to violent behavior. However, it only lasted for a while, after which he returned to normal. Yet she still hasn't moved back. Everyone knows that Lady Zhuang Minute is noble and esteemed, yet no one truly understands what is going on between her and His Majesty. I know the truth, but I have no energy left to care about it anymore. In the past, I was aggrieved that my sister-in-law had been taken away and that my elder brother was being wronged. 5 years have passed in a flash, with no room left to trace back further. Zhao Yuyan has attained a position of honor, and someone else has appeared by Pei Qing's side. This matter seems to have completely faded into the past. 10. That was a female physician. Pei Qing had brought only her on this return trip. She came from a humble background and had gone to the frontier only to make a living. At the end of last year, she met Pei Qing and they fell in love. I reckon something good is about to happen soon. The medical woman wasn't particularly beautiful, but her bearing was outstanding. On the way back to the capital, I watched her pack her medicine box. She wore a plain blue half-sleeve garment with the cuffs rolled up to her wrists, revealing a section of her slender, fair forearms. Serene and lovely, she came to the palace specifically to pay her respects to me. When I was seriously discussing the marriage arrangements with her, Zhao Yuyan suddenly arrived, adorned with gold and jade and embellished with pearls. She looked every bit the epitome of elegance and nobility. She helped the kneeling female physician to her feet, her face bearing a sincere smile. Don't stand on ceremony. If this were in the old days, you would have had to address me as elder sister. I wouldn't dare, my lady. Ah, don't be like that. Though my fate with the Marquis of Zhenan was fleeting, I surely wish him well. Now that he has good fortune, I am naturally delighted. By the way, what is your name? The future Marchioness. I still don't know. The young physician finally lifted her head, a shy smile at the corners of her lips. My name is Lanshin, my lady. Okay, I understand. Ku Lanshin had only been out of the palace for a short while before her throat was slit. When Pei Qing went to identify the body, he nearly fainted. Who killed her was not difficult to find out, especially since the one behind it had no intention of hiding it. With a grim expression, I went to find Chu Yu. Something has happened at home, Your Majesty. Please allow me to return for a while. Chu Yu had likely already caught wind of the news. Is it about your brother's affair? If you find the perpetrator, just deal with them directly. Why trouble yourself to go in person? I have some leads, but no one dares to bring her here, so I'm afraid I'll have to go over and get to the bottom of it myself. Chu Yu was silent for a few moments. Is it the person I'm thinking of? I looked up, my eyes blazing. If it is, Your Majesty, would you stop me? Chu Yu's expression was impassive, revealing nothing of his emotions. The matter between that person and me was settled years ago. He suddenly stepped forward, a faint hint of eagerness in his eyes. If the imperial consort has anything else to ask, you may ask it all at once. I only saw the hem of her skirt gradually receding. I have no other thoughts, only my family on my mind. I must first attend to urgent matters. A sigh came from behind. I went straight to Zhao Yuyan's residence and got to the point. Did you really kill him? Zhao Yuyan did not try to hide it. He wronged me first. I told him to remarry a noble lady and jointly manage the Marquis's household, but he ignored every word I said and fled to the frontier instead. No matter how I begged him in my letters to return, he still stayed away for 5 years. Could it be that his heart was already captivated by that female physician? Otherwise, why would he cast me aside completely? I admit, when I first married your brother, there was an element of using him, but no matter how cold a heart is, it can be warmed. I truly wanted to have a good life with him. It was His Majesty who insisted on interfering. If he truly loved me, then so be it, but he was only getting back at what happened back then, unwilling to see me deeply in love with my husband. What's more, he had to summon your spirit right in front of me. How could I not be furious? I won't hide it from you. At first he was completely mad, taking elixirs and drinking talisman water to the point that I had slipped him 5-stone powder for months without him even noticing. No wonder everyone says his temperament changed drastically. Losing my patience, I abruptly cut in. What does your grudge have to do with Lanshan? She smiled, with a faint hint of arrogance. I, the legitimate daughter of the Duke of Pei's mansion and now a first-rank noble lady of the state, how could a lowly commoner like her be worthy of serving the same husband as me? Whether before or after, I stared at her intently. 8 years had passed, her pride had never changed, but the consequence back then was merely that she went from being an imperial consort to a marquis's wife. Now, however, it has cost a living life. The closed door was suddenly kicked open. Pei Qing stood at the threshold. No one knew for how long he had been listening. Those eyes held an endless snowfall, cold and heavy. Zhao Yuyan asked him, "Do you regret provoking others?" Pei Qing spoke deliberately. "Not only do I have no regrets, I will stride forward and never look back." Zhao Yuyan pulled out her hairpin and thrust it fiercely toward him. In an instant, a pool of blood began to gather on the floor tiles. 11. Madame Zhuang Minute was accidentally killed by me, your servant. I went to Chu Yu to confess my guilt and beg for punishment. However, with his network of informants, he could guess 70 to 80% of the truth even without being on the scene. The Marquis of Zhenan dared to carry the corpse to the Duke of Pei's mansion himself. Why are you so eager to take the blame for him? I bit my bloodless lip and did not respond. The scene from back then played out clearly in my mind. Pei Qing seized her hand firmly. Then he turned the hairpin and stabbed it into Zhao Yuyan's chest. It was not deep at first, but Zhao Yuyan insisted on making him regret it. She sneered and thrust deeper. Chu Yu's expression darkened slightly. This matter is too serious for me to cover up in private. Once the Duke of Pei submits his grievance at court tomorrow, I must give him an explanation. But no matter what, it will not implicate you or our prince. I lowered my gaze, nervously wondering how Pei Qing would respond. Chu Yu's voice suddenly sounded slowly in my ear. After going through so much, I treasure you the most. I still remember when I didn't know you were alive in Muzhou, and the mage told me you were still alive. The moment I realized you had faked your death, I was so angry that I imagined 1,000 ways to punish you, whether confinement or deposition, just to make you remember the consequences of deceiving the emperor. But when I truly saw you and Shen Ying, all those thoughts vanished. Whether you deceive me or lie to me, as long as you live, that's all that matters. Better than losing you forever. I was stunned for a long moment. Father, mother. Suddenly, Shen Ying's voice came from behind. I turned around. In just a few months, the child had transformed entirely, all traces of childishness gone. Now standing here, back ramrod straight, hands placed properly at his sides, Chuyu asked him where he had been. I saw younger brother Shenyu in the garden just now. He was learning to recognize flowers and plants with his nursemaid, so I went over to play with him for a while, though he still can't talk much yet. Chuyu nodded and began testing him on his lessons. Shenying answered each question clearly and methodically. Occasionally he paused, but it was to weigh his words, not out of hesitation. Chuyu's mouth curved slightly, the smile was faint, but there was clear satisfaction in his eyes. Your comprehension is not bad. A few days later, I went to visit Shenyu. He was still the same as before, in good spirits, but on the thinner side. The imperial physician said that while the child could be raised to adulthood, it would inevitably require constant reliance on herbal medicine. Empress Kui had no other option but to care for him with the utmost meticulousness. She suddenly asked about the matter concerning Pei Qing and Zhao Yuyan. Although the events of that day were tightly concealed, she was one of the few who knew about them. It's almost the 7th day, yet there's still no movement from the Peigua Duke's mansion. This family has always been ostentatious. They don't strike me as the type to suffer in silence. When Empress Kui mentioned the Duke's mansion, there was a faint trace of disdain between her brows. It seemed the rumors were true. Before I returned, Zhao Yuyan had often been at odds with her, I replied. It's true that Madame Zhuang Minute was the one who committed violence first that day, so they weren't in the right. Besides, perhaps they also let it go out of consideration that the Marquis of Zhenan was once a son-in-law to the ducal mansion. That explanation was far-fetched, but Empress Kui, seeing that I intended to hide the truth, did not press further. Come to think of it, I only learned the full story behind this after questioning Pei Qing yesterday. He told me that when he took the bodies to the Duke's mansion, the Duke of Pei was so enraged he wanted to execute him on the spot. In the Duke's eyes, even if 10 or 8 more healers died, it would never reach the point where his own daughter would have to pay with her life. But with just a few words from Pei Qing, the Duke of Pei calmed down. I am purging the court of evil advisors. If the Duke doesn't believe me, then come with me to present our cases before His Majesty, and we shall see whether Yuyan has ever attempted to harm the Emperor's sacred person. If the Duke doesn't believe me, then think again why Yuyan had to hastily move out of the royal palace. The Duke of Pei was left speechless. Was it true or false? Never mind, the important thing is, who would dare to actually make a scene in front of Chuyu and ask him to verify the truth? No matter how indignant the Duke of Pei might be, he could only swallow his anger, but having been stifled in this one matter, he would have to vent his frustration elsewhere. Pei Qing faced no shortage of encirclement and obstruction from the Duke of Pei's faction at court. When he was impeached once again, he volunteered to be posted to the provinces. Chuyu granted his request. Pei Qing told me he no longer wished to stay in the capital, that the capital was a place that always broke his heart. This is just too cruel. I pressed my lips together, holding back a tearful tone. You were first stationed away for 3 years, and then when I went to Muzhou, we went another 5 years without seeing each other. The time we've spent apart has already reached half of the days we lived together in the Marquis's manor. Not quite 5 years without seeing each other. I did go to Muzhou twice, though it wasn't convenient to call on you, but you can ask Shen Ying whether I ever bought him candied hawthorns. Come to think of it, he wasn't old enough to remember back then, so I suppose I bought them for nothing. I was amused. If Shen Ying weren't so young, I'd really want him to go with you for some training. Shen Ying is the crown prince. His Majesty has other expectations for him, so I won't hold him back. And don't worry that I'll be devastated just because there's no one to accompany me. I still have many things to do. I need to take Lan Xin back to her hometown to settle her in, strengthen border defenses, and revive the Marquis household. In short, I must take good care of myself. He paused. Heaven gave a brief fate. Go well, and don't look back. 12. As the children gradually grew older, the court officials urged Chuyu to establish an heir. The first candidate was naturally the legitimate son, Shenyu, but his heart condition was incurable. A short-lived constitution made him unfit for the position of crown prince. After much deliberation, the decision finally fell on Shenying. Chuyu passed away in the year when Shenying was 13. He appointed both me and Empress Kui as Empress Dowagers. When he ascended the throne, it was exactly winter. I looked at the melting snow outside the window. then turned my gaze to Xianying. The sunlight fell on his profile, gilding the youth's features with a thin layer of gold. Tomorrow is the 8th day of the 11th lunar month. Would you like a bowl of birthday noodles? I'll cook them for you. Xianying raised an eyebrow slightly in her sharply contrasting black and white eyes. A faint hint of cunning rippled, barely noticeable. Mother, have you forgotten? My birthday is clearly in July. I feel somewhat helpless. How foolish of me. As I grow older, my memory only gets worse. Xianying chuckled lightly. For dinner, we'll add an extra dish, fish stew with Sichuan lovage root and angelica. It tastes bitter, but it helps with forgetfulness. You're not allowed to refuse it then. Fine, fine, fine. Just then, an inner steward entered to serve tea, and the trace of liveliness between his brows withdrew, returning to that impeccably composed face, only the corners of his eyes still curved, as if secretly hiding a secret. 13 The Marquis's estate faked to death. I set a fire. The fetus in the womb could not be saved before the bloodstains had dried. I forced myself onto a boat leaving the capital while I was writhing in agony. A young master who had run away from home stumbled into my presence. He took care of me after disembarking. I accompanied him. My identity was sensitive, causing trouble with passage occasionally. I had to bribe officials to obtain a travel permit. There were rogues who, even after taking money, remained unsatisfied and coveted my looks while I was off guard. You poisoned me with a love potion, but in the end, it didn't succeed. I escaped just in time, yet, by a twist of fate, I ended up crossing the line with him for one night. I thought I could just treat it as an accident and let it pass until I clearly sensed something unusual in my body. I kept this matter to myself and did not tell him. I have no intention of starting a family. I faked my death to deceive the emperor. With an unknown fate ahead, I don't want to tie anyone to me, nor do I want to be held back by anyone. It so happened that his family came looking for him. I took the opportunity to slip away while he wasn't paying attention. In the years that followed, we indeed never crossed paths again. Later, both my mother and I were brought back to the imperial palace by Chu Yu. Concerning the royal bloodline, the Empress Dowager had secretly tested Xianying and Chu Yu at that time, but somehow, that blood just merged. The method of blood kinship testing, though widely spoken of, is quite dubious in its effectiveness. Xianying knew about this matter from beginning to end. I can hide it from everyone, but not from him. So, ever since he became Chu Xianying, he has followed the rules diligently and worked hard to improve himself. He looked into my eyes and said, Mother, I cannot waste this identity. Mother, I am not afraid. However, it went more smoothly than expected. Even Chu Yu himself had not considered the other possibility, and so I watched Xianying ascend to the dragon throne. After his enthronement, he devoted himself diligently to governance and had less time to spend with me. Worried that I might feel stifled in the palace, he told me not to be constrained by court rules and to feel free to leave the palace for relaxation whenever I wished. I walked down from the tea house. When I reached the corner, someone was coming up from below, so I moved aside to let them pass. That person also stepped aside. The moment we brushed past each other, we both stopped almost at the same time. A face suddenly came into view. The eyes and nose were the same as before, but the jawline had grown a bit sharper. His stature was also taller than in his youth, and his shoulders and back broader. From an arm's length away, he looked over in surprise, tilting his head slightly, as if unsure, or perhaps trying to be certain. In those deep eyes, a faint glimmer slowly emerged, like a trace of light on the horizon before the rain falls. Xianying's younger brother passed away young, at the age of 22, leaving behind a wife and a son. Before he left, he held my hand and said, Imperial brother, I cannot rest easy for them. Will you indulge me one last time and watch over them for me? My eyes reddened, and I softly said yes. He closed his eyes. At peace. I have kept his last words in mind. As for his wife, besides inheriting everything in the prince's mansion, she may remarry if she wishes. If she is unwilling, she shall be given an honorable title and be provided for in comfort for the rest of her life. His son is 3 years old. He shall be brought to my side and raised by me personally. When he turns 12, I will bestow upon him the title of Prince Chen. At 17, I pass the throne to him. By then, I had already been the emperor. For 26 years I had thoroughly tasted every bit of what it felt like to be the emperor. I had been curious about it since I was a child. It began with the appearance of a stranger in the courtyard of Muzhou back then. Though I was afraid, I was more curious about him, curious about who he really was, that his mere presence could make Mother turn pale with tension. He could even readily summon the high and mighty prefect, not to mention surrounding a courtyard or casually scattering 1,000 taels of silver. Later, I learned that this was the Son of Heaven. A thought suddenly occurred to me: if I simply sit in the same position, can I do whatever I want? But only when my long-cherished wish came true did I understand. There are things that should not be done, otherwise I would wrong too many people. I have taught the Crown Prince the same way. Act cautiously and keep personal motives hidden. He nodded earnestly, saying he understood everything. Yet, just as I, the retired emperor, was about to leave the palace, he nervously grabbed my sleeve and asked, "You're not staying to guide me further? Are you really that confident in me?" "No, only by staying among the people can I better see how you fare. If you do poorly, I'll return at once to get you." No, I will do my utmost, I promise." As I walked along the road, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. How interesting, this life of mine. When I was still a young child, I spent the warmest and happiest years with my mother. In a small courtyard. Later, an unforeseen scheme unfolded. I had already reached the pinnacle of this mortal world while still a youth, and my mother remained by my side, never leaving me. I have always known my own origins, but only my mother and I know. This is a secret that belongs only to us, or rather, it is enough for me to simply remember that I am my mother's child. I came from my mother's womb, and her blood flows in my bones naturally. I am nothing more than her child, but she is no longer here. Before she passed away, she told me that she felt her life was perfectly fulfilled. This cannot end in this lifetime alone. We have promised to meet in the next life. We will. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments. See you in the next video.